Good morning, everybody. How are you?
Good, how are you?
It is January 16th of 2018. I'm still trying to get used to using 2018 and all the contracts and stuff. So I'm going to pass this around if you wouldn't mind just throwing your name on there so we can track who was here. So a couple of announcements for you. I'm going to go over the training calendar. A lot of stuff to talk about. You'll see different information at the tables out here sprinkled throughout the room that you guys can look at dates, times, when some of these trainings are going to be occurring, and all that fun stuff. Good morning. How are you? Okay. So obviously today, the 16th, we've got our team meeting, which goes till noon, and then Mr. Jim is going to teach a CMA class right here in the training room from 12:30 to 1:30. Highly recommend you attend. It's going to be some good stuff. Plus, Jim is known for his sense of humor as well. I don't know if the class, if it's bring your own booze type of class or not. I'm just teasing. We have Nikki was kind enough to bring in chili today. So after the meeting, grab a bowl of chili, come back on in and do the CMA class if you'd like. Ignite is up and running. We had our first session yesterday. Great turnout. We've got people streaming it all across our office, which is great. The next session is tomorrow. Tomorrow's session is on building your database. It's actually going to be taught by Nellie. Nellie has done a phenomenal job kind of networking and building her business that way, so I can't think of somebody better to kind of come in, teach you a little bit about database and how to build and grow that network and stay in touch with people and build relationships. That's going to be in here from 9:30 to 12. Anybody and everybody is welcome. You don't have to have already signed up for Ignite to attend, and you don't have to hit all the sessions. If you can make a session, come on in. You know, if you think it would be beneficial to you, then we'd love to have you there. Morning, Leah. How are you? So this is the first. Hi, Renee. How are you?
Good.
This is the first week of it. It goes for a total of 4 weeks, so it'll end the first week of February. There's also a lunch and learn tomorrow from 12 to 12:30 with the home warranty company. She'll be bringing lunch as well. On the 18th, Kelly DeMille is going to be kind enough to come in and do a kind of a Q&A session on listing paperwork, listing forms, listing contract, all that good stuff. Hi, Judy. How are you? Very, very experienced, highly skilled agent when it comes to listings. I highly recommend you set aside some time to come on in and pick her brain. If you have any questions that you want to give her a heads up on ahead of time, you can use a scratch piece of paper and a pen, write your question on there when it comes to listings, throw it in here. We'll get those questions to her today so she can come on Thursday prepared to speak to those things, okay? If you don't get one in the jar, that's fine. Just bring your questions too. She's pretty quick on her feet, so I'm sure she'll be able to handle any questions that you have. There's also going to be a company called Reminder Media that's going to do a quick 15-minute webinar in the training room Thursday the 18th from 12:30 to 12:45, just to kind of tell you about some of the marketing materials they have and services that they offer if you're interested. Then, of course, Mel will be in Thursday as well from 10 to 4 to help with any tech stuff or agent orientation type things. Just a reminder that the CGI calls on Mondays at 1 p.m. resume next week. This week we didn't have it because yesterday was a holiday. CGI tools class, which is goal setting and how to achieve your income goal, will be on the 23rd from 11 to 12. That'll be right here. Just a note, this wasn't on the training calendar, but if you want to set it aside in your calendars, on the 25th from 10 to 12, we're going to have another kind of training event like we did last month at 125 Live. So Thursday, the 25th from 10 to 12 p.m. at 125 Live, that same room, we're going to have another training event. And the topic, I believe, is going to be on social media. I have to double check that. I've got it all laid out on a calendar, but I think this upcoming one is on social media. That's open to everybody in our office, anybody that you might know that would apply to or be of interest to.
10 to 12.
10 to 12, yep. Next team meeting is on the 30th. ALC meeting after that. And then Ignite keeps going. On the 31st at 12:15, there's a lunch and learn with Sally. And a couple other of additional things to make mention of. So at your tables, you're going to see a flyer for this. Todd Butzer, who also happens to be our regional director here at the North Central region, he's doing a financial wellness webinar tomorrow at 12 p.m. You can register or get to it via KW Connect. I highly recommend it. Good morning, Susan. All right, come on in. Todd often teaches agent financials. He is all about, very passionate about helping agents operate their businesses from financial strength and helping you build your own financial wealth and achieve financial independence. So I highly recommend you attend if you can. He's a great trainer, very good instructor, and he's here locally. So if you can attend that, it would be a great thing for you.
Can you set the date for that one again?
That's tomorrow. Yeah, asking you shall receive. Yeah, tomorrow at 12 p.m. And I'll post this information in our Facebook page right after our meeting too, so that you guys will be able to reference it. And also, if you log into KW, you'll see it advertised right there. Also tomorrow, there's a One Thing, which is the book, the One Thing webinar at 3 p.m. It's free. You can also log on via KW Connect. Just a reminder that Family Reunion is next month. If you'd like to attend, let us know. We still have a couple of tickets that are available that we can get to you. Also, here's another handout for the Pursuit of Profit Share, which is a phenomenal group coaching class. If this is something that interests you this year, I've heard from many folks that profit share and building wealth and passive income is something that they're really focused on in 2018. This would be a phenomenal course to consider taking. It starts on the 18th, which is this Friday. You can register via KW Connect. I will also post this information for you. There is a cost associated with it. I think it's like a couple $100, but you can go ahead and take a peek at that and register if you'd like. Great course. I've heard nothing but good things about it. I think I'll probably hop in and take it this time around too. Has anybody taken this course before? What did you think of it?
It was great.
Okay. Any other elaboration that it was great?
Well,
I mean, that's a resounding recommendation.
One of the powerful things about it is you have other agents from across the country giving their tips on what they've done and what their successes have been. It's pretty amazing. There's one guy that joined KW just to do recruiting.
Interesting. You talking about Aaron or somebody else?
No, someone else.
Wow. So I highly recommend that. And then don't let me forget, I'm going to talk more about some of those group coaching things they're offering. How you doing, Lee?
Good, sorry I'm late.
No worries. We're just now starting. We're waiting for you to get here. Just kidding. I'm just teasing you.
What did you say when Lee got here?
Right, Bob, that was between us. The other handout at your table is the Ignite schedule. So if you'd like to leave with that copy or request me to get it to you, it's got all the sessions laid out, what dates are taking place. So, Bold. I want to talk about Bold real quick and just give everybody a heads up. So Bold is coming down the pipeline. The next session is likely going to kick off in March. And I think I found a happy medium. We're not going to host it here in Rochester, but we worked with Burnsville, which is probably the next closest market center to us. It's going to be hosted there. So it'll be probably just a tad over an hour drive for you if you'd like to attend Bold. And it'll give you a chance to rub some elbows with agents in the cities and hopefully establish some referral connections, right? So put that on your calendar for March. That's coming down the pipeline. Good morning, Michelle. How are you? Okay. I think that covers all. Any questions about any of the upcoming training? Okay. So I'm going to hit the lights real quick, and I just want to, thank you, Jim. Appreciate it. I think sometimes we forget, or I forget, just how many different coaching programs are available to you on a regular basis. If you log into KW and you hover over the coaching tab and you click group coaching, you're going to find a whole host of different coaching programs that are going on throughout the year that you dial into. They have weekly either webinars or phone calls on various topics that might be relevant to you and your business or some of the particular goals that you want to achieve in 2018. Build or expand your business, get your full commission, 90 buyers in 90 days, 90 listings in 90 days. Baby boomers, that might be relevant to some people who choose to focus on that niche. Conversations, dominate your market. Fierce conversations. These are not free. These are, some of them might be, but most of them usually have a modest cost, usually about a couple $100 per. Yep. Limited to legendary, language of sales. Here's the one that I would highly recommend. If you're education based and you want to do some sort of training that you think will have an immediate impact on your business, I would highly recommend Never Ending Referrals. Highly recommend it. You can still get it on this one. It just started last week. It's database focused. It helps you organize your database, become engaged with your database, and have conversations that really plant the seeds for folks to send you referrals. If there was one group coaching class that you took this year, I'd highly recommend that one. That'd be a good one to start with. And then you can get a feel for whether or not you kind of like those and kind of the way it's set up with weekly phone calls, etc. You get, in addition to the phone calls, you get a lot of great material that you can download and utilize for years to come when it comes to building your database, staying in touch with it, and getting referrals. Any questions about that? Well, hello there. How are you? Come on in. We have 0 chairs for you. No, I'm just kidding. No, there we go.
I'll stand. Thank you.
Any questions about that? Okay. Well, now that you walked in, I'm gonna put you on the spot and give you a quick introduction, if that's okay. So if you could welcome Shauna, she's a new agent that just joined us, and she is licensed and serves the Mankato market. So if you're looking if you are looking to refer any business out to Mankato, I would highly recommend you reach out to her. And if you are looking to refer any business to Rochester, I'm sure that people will just tap you right now. Right. Okay. Perfect. So here's what I'd like to do. It's obviously 2017 has ended, which means we know a lot of the numbers market-wise, how many properties sold, average sale price, things like that. And so instead of me just droning on and on about all these fascinating statistics, we're going to make it a little bit more fun today. We're going to turn it into a game. All right. So we're going to create 2 teams. We're going to have this side of the room be a team. We're going to have this side of the room, to include the 2 ladies back here, be a team. We're going to have a series of questions, and I want you guys to talk amongst yourselves and come up with what you think is the correct answer or closest to the correct answer. So one caveat, you cannot log into Flex and cheat and find these numbers, all right? But I'm going to give you a list of questions, and then I'll give you guys, 5 minutes, however long it takes you to talk amongst yourselves and come up with what you think the answers are, and then we will review what the actual statistics are, and we'll have a little bit more insight to the market. So, first question is, what is, for 2017, what was the average list price This is residential units only. Residential. Hey, you quit cheating back there.
Hey, Rochester.
Hang on. I like you guys are getting into the details. I love this. This is a 2-part question. Every question is 2-part question. What is the average list price CMAR wide and in Rochester? Seriously. And in Canada. No, just kidding. So average list price, this is all.
Can we give you a range?
No.
Well, it'll be a penny. What do you actually have to be right on the
That's exactly what I'm expecting, Leanne. No, I'm just
Okay, whatever.
give it your best shot. It's an approximation. So average list price in both CMAR and Rochester, average sale price. Median days on market. And the number of listings sold total for the year. So what was the average list price for all of CMAR and then all of Rochester, average sale price, median days on market, number of listings sold? This is a participatory group effort. You guys can talk amongst yourselves.
Don't tell them.
Yeah, don't listen to each other. No cheating. No cheating.
Okay, well,
Well, I got Jim Bruce.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what's
right,
I know.
Ask the lady from Mankato.
Guesses. Average list price. CMAR one. You get 249? Yeah. They're not all working. Bruce?
How are you, John? We're gonna add John to this
My
team over
apologies.
here. No worries. You're with this team over here. You came just in time. You're good.
What's
The assignment.
Well, right now we are, as a group, the two different teams trying to come up with what they think for all 2017, what the average list price was, CMAR wide.
Okay.
And then in Rochester, average sale price, CMAR wide, Rochester, days on market and losing sold.
Well,
Without logging into Flex and looking at it. Feel free to pull up a chair.
the question is this, Jim.
John.
John, excuse me.
It's okay. We look alike.
CMAR,
We have glasses.
what is the average list price for 2017, CMAR wide and Rochester wide? So right now, Rochester wide, we have, we have like a 250, 260, 270. So I mean, these are just kind of what our thoughts are.
Without looking at Flex.
Correct.
Give us a brownie point?
I know, and all that information came, and I don't know.
Then we're gonna start. Well, Mel's actually was a different report.
Yeah, no checking Facebook and looking at those reports.
We want to. That would be a.
I was working on a couple of CMAs around the whole area this morning to get an average of acreages or like.
Okay.
It looks like it's got the buckshot.
CMAR wide, what's your thought? This is kind of where we are. You somewhere in
I
there?
would probably say 2.5.
250? Okay, so we
Is
range
median.
from 200 to 270, so we're
Sorry, I will shut this up.
I think Rochester's about 270. And I think
Probably incorporating it.
if we're looking at list price,
Yeah,
not sale.
correct. So 270 CMAR, 270 Rochester, and 220 CMAR.
I agree, but that doesn't.
You okay with that?
That's
Double it.
2488.
230
When you get out, you get more.
There's no monetary value to this. So we can
For all of the.
Okay, so then, sale price.
Nothing, you know.
Where did you get that number?
Or do you win some? Okay, I'm sorry.
If we're saying, my thought is if we're saying 270 Rochester, I'm gonna say it's pretty close. I'm gonna stick with that for our average.
What are you talking about, the average?
No,
Your sale
number of
price are gonna be less than this.
Well,
The CMAR one.
Oh, right, but.
Yeah.
260,
260, yeah.
oh,
265.
Rochester, so then if we're saying 230, CR, 220. Median days on market, 67.
67?
Yeah.
For what, CMAR or value? I think Rochester.
Right.
I was gonna say probably 37, but you said 67.
Yeah, I mean,
I remember seeing that figure somewhere. So
Rochester,
Rochester, yeah, we'll say,
A lot of them.
correct. It's like 10, but the number is higher.
I think you're, I
You know that
think
college
you're,
income.
I think you're right. 50
But you said this is
to 40.
you're saying
Getting some real anger over here. How about us two guys, we'll just go hang out together.
So, we'll say just Rochester.
Well, this can't be higher than this.
You know what, I would just, for Rochester.
I'd love
For some reason, I saw something in the sixties, maybe 62.
And that could very well be, because I was looking at doing a couple different CMAs, I was looking at time on the market, 180 days, 181 days.
Look it up over here, Leanne. It's on my flex.
That's what I got offered.
And then, number of listings sold. That was a high number. Which one do you give you out? That's an average listing price. I don't know anywhere.
CMAR wide or Rochester?
I'd say 130. You don't think it's that high?
I don't even,
No, this is number.
number sold, how many units sold in 2017?
That's the thing, we've got Rochester in there, which is not just like, oh, yeah. So that is where what percentage of yeah, I was kind of stuck there. I put CMAR, wouldn't it be like 80%? What do you think? What, 60%? Yeah, from the 83 times.
I will be now.
So you're saying that Rochester might be 55,000? So then,
That's all it is. Sold out, but I want to keep watching.
15,000
What do you guys think?
for CMAR wide?
Renee, I think you need a number.
Lighter ones we had over trees.
I'm sure you do.
Okay. Any comments over there?
We're done.
What numbers do we have?
Yeah, we'll cover.
Okay. 500 seemed a little high, only because of shortages.
Very serious deliberations going on. It's very quiet.
You mean CMAR?
I've heard a few swear
Outside of
words.
Rochester?
People are getting angry with one another.
All of 7,500. 7,500. Because it's probably half. I'll put Rochester, because I looked at the map when I was doing the search this morning, and I watched all the cluster here in Rochester proper and the outlying area. North, there's some pretty good volume, then as you get south of Rochester, and so if Rochester is 5,000, 4,500, the outlying areas you're probably done back here, 2,500. Okay.
How are we doing over here? Done? We're done.
Bruce, we're done. Let's hear the answer.
Yeah, right. Okay. So, I'm gonna call you guys team number 1, team number 2. It doesn't signify anything. It's just a numbering system. Don't get too fired up. So from team number 1, what is your answer when it comes to average list price CMAR wide?
160,000.
Team one, please. Team
Oh,
one,
that's
Leanne.
not-
Team, that's okay.
Team one, 270.
Well, it's just the way it's written on there, we feel like we're on.
What was that, Seymour Wide?
270.
270. Okay, and then how about Rochester?
230.
I saw them use their computer.
I saw Leanne on her phone.
Oh, God, I wasn't doing
It's always on her phone.
Are you filing a formal complaint?
Yeah, right. Okay,
Who signed arbitration?
team two, Seymour Wide.
Okay, we're doing average list price, Seymour Ride, wide 166,
Rochester.
Rochester 262.
We were looking for.
Okay, so team one, tell me how you arrived at these numbers. Tell me a little bit about the decision-making process, the discussion, all that fun stuff.
Well, we had quite a range. We ranged from 200 to 270.
Initially,
Correct, as we went through.
so I'm gonna throw out one question, topic of discussion for the whole room. I see one team has, and I should clarify this. This was their number for all of Seymour. This was Rochester. All of Seymour. This was Rochester. So one team has the average list price for all of Seymour higher than the average for
Those are
Rochester.
backwards. Ours are backwards.
Yeah,
Rochester's 270.
Okay,
270.
that's why I asked. I figured. I just got. I'll blame that error on me. I misheard. Average list price for Rochester, 270. Average list price for all of Seymour, 230. Okay. So now tell me as a group a little bit about how you both have the same trend. We think that on average, if you look at all of Seymour, average list price is less than just in Rochester. Okay, why?
We looked at the percentage of listings that came from Rochester. And then we went back and figured out what the price would be for all of the outlying communities. And we had somebody in our group that sells in the outlying communities.
Okay, so you went to somebody else who maybe had some market knowledge outside of just Rochester to say, hey, give me your take on markets outside of Rochester, your average sale price that you're used to versus average sale price we're used to, and that was kind of your gauge. Okay, how about you guys?
We just went with our gut.
That's what I'm looking for. I mean, really, that's what we all did essentially, right?
Yeah.
Your gut would tell you, common sense would tell you that on average, Rochester's sale price is probably going to be a little bit higher than all of Seymour, right? Because we know homes in Rochester are more expensive than homes in Pine Island or Stewartville or St. Charles or Austin or Winona, right? We just know that that's true on average, right? So that would make sense. Okay. The average list price.
What is it?
I'll tell you in a minute, slow down. Now, what'd you come up for average sale price? We'll start with team two this time. Average sale price for all of Seymour.
150.
Just Rochester.
236.5.
You're one of those listing agents.
The projector even blinked.
But, okay, so now she's throwing the blame elsewhere.
That's not late, it wasn't.
I think we should list
You're
this
supposed
one,
to be.
let's list it at 197,432. All right, team one, average sale price for all of Seymour.
220.
Other side.
Okay, I'll do it over here, that pleases you, child. 225?
220.
220, okay. For Rochester,
260.
okay. So team two, tell me how you arrived at your numbers.
Go ahead, Carrie.
No, I'm the recorder.
She's the recorder and the blame pointer.
Yeah, we kind of went 90% of what
Okay.
the top number is.
And where'd that 90% come from?
Usually, the selling compared to the price.
So your guts told you, hey, people are in this market, they're on average getting about 90% of what their list price was. Maybe their initial list price, right?
Overall.
Overall,
Yeah.
okay. So we notice about, basically you guys just did 90% or just a round number, which is 10,000, that works good. Just did, I'm sorry, team two.
Yes.
You guys brought it down based on, both teams trended, our sale price is less than our list price on average, okay? And how did you guys arrive at your numbers?
We just took a little bit less than.
Sure. We just know our experience as realtors tells us on average homes are going on at this price, they're selling for maybe just a tad less. Okay, sounds good. How about median days on market?
Rochester, 40,
This is team one.
and Seymour wide, 62.
Team two.
Seymour 88, Rochester 44.
You just cut that. Yeah.
It was the team, Zach.
They added it up.
Yeah,
and
now,
that's
now
how-
if I come back and say, yeah, team two's answer's wrong, correct, Carrie's gonna be like, it's all me. Okay, so tell me a little bit about days on market. And notice I usually like to go by averages, but I look at the median more so for days on market because the median helps get rid of some of those outliers, those listings that are just on the market every year. It's the same listing on the market for the same price, it never sells. If we do the median, it kind of mitigates that impact on the number. So we're seeing, okay, both have us trending more days on market, Seymour wide versus Rochester. So you guys look at that, almost spot on with your Rochester days on market, both teams together. Tell me how you arrived at that number and what you've seen in the market in 2017 that led you to those numbers.
I thought that was on my last newsletter.
Okay, very good. On your last newsletter.
Well, Rochester homes on the average are selling very quickly. So even though it seems like it should be about 10 days, the reality averaging out is.
So just based on transactions you're doing this year, you felt like, yeah, I think it's roughly 40 days, somewhere around a month on average, homes wide on the market. So why did you guys extrapolate that number for Seymour wide?
Because there's too many.
An honest answer.
I mean, truly, you just guessed, right? Because I feel like you know for sure.
Sure. But let me ask you why. So you guessed that it was, significantly longer. All of Seymour. Why? What would make you think that? Why are you guessing?
Rural areas have longer days on market.
Right.
It's just,
In your experience, right, your gut would tell you, your experience as an agent would tell you, hey, if you're in a rural area or a little further out from the city, you can likely expect to potentially spend more time on market. Why? What's the reason behind it?
less buyers.
Fewer buyers, less demand, right? There's just less opportunity to get it sold potentially. You and I were talking about that this morning, right? Okay, so that's good. Number of listings sold. Let's start with team one on this one. How many listings do you think sold in all residential listings sold in all of Seymour 2017?
7,500.
Wow, that's awesome.
Wrong side.
Wrong. Oops.
I was testing everyone. Congratulations. All of Seymour 7,500. Rochester.
4,500.
Team two. All of Seymour.
Girls.
I'm feeling a little insecure right now.
Don't pay attention to these numbers.
Okay, so Rochester, we had 1,700.
Okay.
Seymour, 3,400.
So I'm not going to ask you why your numbers are greater for Seymour versus Rochester. That's pretty obvious. But what is it? How did you end up at these figures? We'll start with team two since they have the most confidence in their number.
That one, I will take responsibility for because I think it's totally wrong, but I remember seeing on a graph somewhere where I just had 1,700 in my brain. I don't know. I felt like I had been seeing the market come down, down, down as far as how many houses were on the market. And I remember thinking 1,700 is stuck in my head.
If I told you you're not too far off, could you give me a better answer?
I'm just telling you, I'd seen a chart and I've got this visual, this picture in my head, and I remember something about that number had an impact on it made me stop and go, wow.
1781. Yeah. How about team two? How is it that you came up with those numbers?
I think we PFT'd it.
Do I want to ask what that? Okay. I just
What's that?
didn't know if there's an expletive in that acronym, so. Okay, very good. Real numbers.
Yeah.
We'll do CMAR first.
Okay.
CMAR average list price for the year 2017 was $220,433. $220,433 average list price, all of CMAR. As compared to 2016's average list price of $204,398. 2016 average list price, $204,398, for an overall increase in average list price of approximately just shy of 8%. Now that's great, that's interesting news, but you can list properties for whatever you want to list them for, right? But that's still good to know. Average sale price, all of CMAR in 2017, $204,819. $204,819. In 2016, the average sale price for all of CMAR was $188,714. The average just a year ago in 2016 compared to 2017 was $188,714, for an increase in average sale price. Now this is a real number. This is what really matters. An increase of 2017 over 2016 of 8.5% in your average sale price. And what did we say that your a balanced market typically? What percentage increase do we typically see in sale prices? 3 to 5%. 3 to 5%. So if a balanced market roughly is 3 to 5%, and we're at 8.5, what does that tell us about the market that we're in?
It's accelerated.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we know that is driven. We know that sharp increase in sale price is driven by what right now?
Supply and demand.
Supply and demand. And if we elaborate on that, what specifically about supply and demand is driving prices up at a higher rate than what is in a normal market? A shortage in listing inventory, or the fact that we've got way more buyers than we have listings right now, right? Which means multiple offers, which means we're driving the price up. And that little extra bit that those multiple offers are driving the price up is what's taking us from that 3 to 5% normal range and bumping us up to 8.5%, right? It's a direct impact of what's happening in the market conditions. And oh, by the way, do you think we're still going to have that this year? I think so. I think all signs point to absolutely. Absolutely. It's going to be as fiercely competitive as it was last year, if not maybe more, depending upon how many new homes get built. That could help us a little bit. Okay.
Price of fuel is going to affect that.
I don't doubt you. I just don't even want to think about that right now. With that drive I have every day. No, I'm just kidding. Median days on market for all of CMAR. 27.
Really?
Median, compared to 32 last year, which those numbers don't seem very different from each other, but that's a decrease of almost 16% in days on market overall. So remember how you said it seemed like they were flying off the shelf? 32 last year, 27 this year,
Can I
or
ask
2017.
kind of a rookie question about days on market?
Yeah.
Is that for when you list it?
Great
so
question.
You're at the closing table,
Great
or where
question.
does that stop?
It's going to, so typically, my understanding is that most MLSs, your days on market stop when it goes pending. Yep. So it's really, this is honestly, you could probably take a third of that, not a third, maybe half of it, because what do we know happens? A home goes under market. And how long does an inspection sometimes take?
12 to 12
A long
days.
time sometimes, right? And then it finally goes pending. So really, you could probably back off, 7 to 10 days off that number, and you're really looking at just about a couple of weeks before it goes under contract. And then it moves to pending. Depending upon how that agent, because some agents are lackadaisical about actually finally changing it to pending, right? So really, it sold a month ago, but we didn't update it to pending, so you have to keep that in mind too. Okay, number of listings sold, all of CMAR. We had 7,500 and we had 3,400. The answer is 6,119 properties. $6,119. In 2016, total number of units sold, all of CMAR, 6,253. 6,253. So we had a decrease of 2.1% in number of listings sold. So for those of you that I talked to who said listings are tough to find this year, I'm really struggling with listings, it's getting very difficult. Yeah, we were in a market where there were fewer listings than last year, which means we could potentially have something similar this year. So if you're concerned about listings, double your efforts when it comes to finding them. If you do the same thing you did last year, and we have slightly fewer this year, you're going to get fewer results. So you got to get after it. Any questions on that? Is that helpful information?
Mm-hmm.
It's useful, right?
Absolutely.
Let's get to the real good stuff now too. All right, Rochester specific. Average list price, $277,250. How dare you tell me to shut up?
277.
Rochester specific, 277,250. Average list price, which, oh, by the way, is up almost 9%. In 2016, average list price was $254,437.
What was the percentage?
Just shy of 9% increase average list price. Now here's the one that really matters. Average sale price in 2017, the great city of Rochester, $258,792. This was you guys, Jim?
No.
Over here? Yeah, look at that.
They cheated.
Well, this isn't far off either. We just know who the pessimists are.
258.
In 2016,
212.
the average sale price was $232,559.
Our data's just old.
What's that?
Our data was just old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we thought you said 2015.
Zach, do you have the median for those two things or not?
I do have the median. The median sale price in Rochester for 2017, 220,000. In 2016, the median was 197.5. Average sale price percentage increase 2016 compared to 2017 is an increase of 11.28%. Increase of 11.28%. What are the implications of that sort of percentage increase year over year in sale price for the market? What are the implications? Close to 11.5% increase. If we look at the median, Jennifer, if we look at the median, that percentage is 11.39% of an increase. Well, we already told you what a balanced market percentage increase typically is 3 to 5. Well, we're double the high end of what the balanced market would be. So what does that mean? What implications does it have on our market? How do you as real estate professionals keep that in mind and know how it's going to affect your business this year?
There's not crash.
That's really what I'm really afraid of.
You should always be somewhat conscious of that, right? But I would ask you this question. So back in when we had the crazy crash that we did, what was one of the driving factors that led to the sharp increases in prices, in sale prices?
125% refi.
Fraudulent lending practices, right? What's driving this increase? We already talked about it.
Right.
True,
Lack of inventory.
lack of inventory. True. So this is supply and demand at work. This is being driven economically based on our housing market. And oh, by the way, why do we have a lack of inventory in 2018? Because of the crash we had a decade ago. Because builders stopped building homes, and because oh by the way, the psychology of people when it comes to real estate, especially younger people, has changed dramatically. Now, owning a property for some people is one of the scariest things you can do. They might see it as a huge risk because they just saw what their parents went through or their friends, right? Versus in the past, by older generations, what was their view of home ownership? That was a sign that you made it. That was a sign of financial security. That was a badge of honor to be home. The American dream was home ownership. I think it still is. But that's what everybody strives to do. I want to own a home. That is my goal in life. And we really poo-pooed that and how that's perceived about a decade ago when we made it a very, very scary thing because of the housing market's crash. So just to answer your question or to both of your points, absolutely, that makes me very hesitant about what could happen in the market because at some point it will correct, right? But the question is how will it begin to correct or what caused that issue? I think we'll see a more positive correction, meaning the market will begin to balance out, meaning we'll have that increase in inventory or we'll see less demand. And what will cause that, or how will those two things be solved or mitigated? What's one thing that would decrease demand for buyers?
Interest rate increase.
Affordability.
War.
Interest rate goes up, and or the other aspect of that is what? War. Or prices keep going up, right? Which affects affordability, right? So as prices keep going up, fewer and fewer buyers are going to be out there, which means there's going to be less demand. And same with interest rates, right? Let's think about sellers too. As the price continues to go up, what do you think more people are going to be willing to do? Not necessarily
Or list.
sell that sucker. Hey, are you telling me I can get that much money for my property? I think it's time to sell. I think it's time to sell.
A dream. I think we got to look at what their dream is because we hear, what am I going to do? And so that's usually what I say. If you have a dream, if you have in mind what next would be, this might be the best time to take advantage of it.
What are the situations of some of our sellers? Why do people sell homes?
It's too cold. I'm leaving
They're retiring.
Minnesota.
Hey, I need to sell because I'm going to Arizona. Okay, that's still going to happen, right? Who else sells and why?
I want to be closer to Mayo Clinic.
Sure, that's just about everybody.
Growing family.
I need more space. Guess what? Guess what?
About less space.
Or they're reducing. New construction will solve the seller issue because they're going to decide to build, so long as it stays affordable, right? And that will help us move inventory. It just won't be as available as quickly as it has in the past. Because how long does it take to build a home from the ground up? I would say probably about 6 to 8 months. 6 to 8 months start, depending upon how far the development already is, right? And how cold the winter is, and how rainy the spring is, right? All that impacts builds, right? So, but if we're literally building the inventory that we need to free up current inventory, we're going to have that lag a little bit, right? So, I think that it will be solved in ways that are positive, right? It's just going to take some time for us to get there. But that is a sharp increase. I grabbed my CMAR sheet again, I got too excited. Increase of almost 11.5%. Okay, median days on market. In 2017, the Rochester median days on market was a blistering 18 days. And that's also keeping in mind what Melissa brought up earlier, which is it's an average of 18 days based on when they went pending, not based on when they actually accepted or not. Which is more indicative of what Michelle said, which is I feel like in the first few days or a week it's gone. Yeah, that's what's happening. So what does that mean? If you want to serve your buyers at a high level, what do you need to be prepared to do in 2018 if you want to win? You need to be able to immediately respond, especially if that competitive price points, your reaction. Can we always rely on our auto listings to get the auto emails to get the job done for us? You almost have to be checking daily and call them and saying, hey, Renee, I just saw one this morning that came on to meet your needs. What are you doing over lunch? I know that sounds kind of crazy, but honestly, you'll win clients for life if you do that and you help them win. And you'll lose clients if you make 4 offers and lose 4 times in a row. Because no matter how much we tell them it's the market, what do they start to think? Or what do their friends start to tell them? It's my agent. My agent is not getting the job done for me. So we need to prevent that as much as possible. By being first in, that's not always what it takes though too. We also need to get really dangerous on how we come up with making our multiple offers attractive, right? That's down, median days on market is down over 5% from last year.
What was 2016?
19. 5% sounded more dramatic though. Okay, total listings sold in Rochester for 2017. Do you think it's more or less than that, Team 2? Do you think it's more than that? Do you think it's more or less than that, Team 1?
Less.
Think it's less than that. Are you Team 1?
A couple of teams.
2,350.
We were pretty close.
I told you weren't too far off. Now you want to hear something scary? 2017, total homes sold, 2,350. 2016, total homes sold in Rochester, 2,354.
Wow.
We're off by 4. Only sold 4 less units technically from an MLS tracking standpoint in 2017 than 2016. So for those of us that do business in Rochester, primarily, and we talk about the great listing struggle, there was only 4 fewer listings in 2017 than 2016, which means there was still just about the same opportunity to get out there and get those listings. So did it become a self-fulfilling prophecy that you told yourself there are no listings to get? Were you doing the activities that would help you get those listings, or did you buy into the fact that, hey, there's just no inventory, why even bother? And sometimes that happens subconsciously. You don't even realize, but what you tell yourself ultimately is what you start believing, and it leads to the actions that you're taking on a daily basis.
Focus on expansion.
Absolutely, for good, for better, or for worse. So technically, from a percentage standpoint, negative 0.2% year over year, number of units sold. All of CMAR was down 2%. Just Rochester was down to negative 0.2%. So if you look at all of CMAR, they saw, not really a significant, but they saw, a measurable, noticeable decrease in listing inventory For Rochester basically stayed the same. Thoughts, feedback, takeaways on these numbers in this exercise? So Jim, how long have you been in this business?
No, I mean, a long time.
Several years? 17 years, fantastic. Tell me more about the importance of knowing your numbers and why you say that.
To know what you're talking about when you're listing a house, they ask you a question to know the answers.
Right, because when you, because if you went out on a listing appointment this afternoon and somebody said, well, how many homes sold last year in Rochester? And you said, well, let me tell you, 2,350. How do you think that potential client would perceive you?
Now that you are on the ball.
I know my response would be, holy crap, this guy knows his stuff. It's probably someone I want to hire.
Want to throw any number out, though.
Right. Versus, well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with saying, well, I'm not quite sure, to be honest with you. I mean, you just said it. I can go back and pull those numbers and I'm happy to provide them to you. Explain to you how that might be relevant to your sale. But if you are an agent that's constantly monitoring the market and you can answer those questions like that when people are asking them of you, it helps you become perceived as what Gary Keller wants and tells you you should be, which is the local economist of choice. By knowing those numbers. And believe me, I know it's tough. I know we're not always in there scrubbing the numbers and looking at them all the time. Gary said that, yeah, I think I saw in one of the reports that Mel posted that it was this great. Look at if all you do is look at those reports on a monthly basis, at least you're keeping some context with what's happening in the market. But I think even more so from your individual business standpoint, it allows you to strategize on what you need to do in order to succeed in the market that we're in, right? Knowing that it's fiercely competitive from a listing standpoint or multiple offer standpoint, what can you do in your business, or what things can you implement that will help you succeed more so when you're in those situations than you have in the past. Right? We're doing stuff when we make offers with buyers that we didn't do 2 or 3 years ago because we didn't have to. Back then, pretty much if you were the first one to make an offer within a week and it was an okay offer, we would probably come to terms. Now, if you might be one of 4 or 5 offers that come in the same day. So guess what? Hey, before we even start making offers, first off, the pre-approval's done. We've got the letter on hand. Oh, by the way, you've written your personal letter that basically is begging and pleading with the seller to accept your offer, to include an adorable picture, right? And we've already had discussions. You're already prepared to put $10,000 down in earnest money. We're not talking 1 or 2,000 like what was good enough to get the job done a couple of years ago. We've prepped you. You know that you need to do that. We've already had discussions about inspections and timelines, and do we even want to have one in order to be competitive? You already know that we're not asking for all this additional fluff. We're not asking for a home warranty. We're not asking for this, that, or the other. We've already had conversations with your lender to move you from being an FHA buyer to a conventional buyer, because we know if someone gets half a dozen offers and yours is FHA, you're already fighting from a disadvantage, right? What can we do to prep the battlefield, as we would say in the military, to give ourselves and our clients the best chance at winning and succeeding in those situations? And oh, by the way, when you go into a listing appointment, how many of you kind of buttoned up your listing presentation in 2017, or maybe a little bit more spot on than you were in 16 or 15, right? You might have had to come a little bit more prepared or ready to be competitive and really sell the service as a listing agent. Because not only are you in this kind of market competing with other agents, what are you really competing with? The for sale by owner that knows if I put a sign in my yard, I'm going to have a riot outside my front door in 30 minutes of people that want to buy it, right? So what are we doing to demonstrate our value? It's no longer, hey, here's the price of your home. It's here's the price of your home, and here's what I'm going to do to help you strategize and maximize the amount of money that you get for it. Yes, ma'am.
Question on Rochester numbers sold. Do we know how many of those are new construction? And that probably wouldn't count pre-solds.
Let me see if it has a new construction breakdown on here. This doesn't specify new construction. I bet we could pull that, but what I can tell you is I have certain price points on here, and we kind of know what new construction price points are. So in Rochester, from the price point of 300,000 to 400,000, the percentage increase in sold listings was 15%. From 400 to 500,000, the increase in listings sold was 6.5%. And 500,000 plus, the increase in listings sold was 68.4%, or 133 units in 2017 sold for over 500,000 versus 79 in 2016. And the other thing we know about some new construction is they don't, the sale is not recorded on MLS, right? Sometimes you get in with the builder rep, you know, it's just, it takes place and it may or may not get listed as a comp sold or something, right? So there's definitely some inventory out there that's not captured on the MLS, right?
So what's the best place to go to get stats quickly?
Flex, you know, this is being recorded, so take this for what it is. I'm a North Star guy. That's what I grew up using. I like it, obviously, because it's what I'm used to. I'm probably going to like it more. I like Flex from the standpoint of, or I like the North Star better from an agent standpoint, using it to search and look at homes and all that fun stuff. But Flex is phenomenal at providing these market statistics as compared to North Star. I just clicked Market Summary. Market Summary gave me all this right here just by clicking that button for all of CMAR. And then I clicked Customize, and I typed in Rochester, and it gave me the one for Rochester. And then I did one for Austin, and then I did one for Winona. It's that easy. It's really that easy, which is pretty remarkable. In North Star, I would probably have to go to InfoSparks to try to get something. I don't even know, right? So that is a pretty remarkable thing that Flex allows you to do. So you can literally review these pretty regularly. I would take this with me on a listing appointment. I would take the year-to-date market statistics with me on the listing, or at least review them so I can speak to them intelligently during the listing appointment. And I'd probably have them on hand at a buyer console too, right? If I had a buyer that said, hey, you know, we're thinking about buying this year, but we might buy next year, what statistic do you think I might share with them?
It'll be 12%.
Percentage.
Absolutely, and that's the takeaway I'm looking for, Carrie and John. The takeaway I'm looking for is, great, we know the numbers, but how do we now apply them to how we're interacting with our clients? That's not a sales pitch. That's not me trying to scare you into buying this. That's me educating you to help you make a financial decision. Hey, here's the deal. This isn't salesy. I'm not trying to pressure you, but what I do know is homes in 2017 cost 12% more on average than they did in 2016. So if you wait a year, that's great if that's what you have to do, but what you need to be prepared from a financial standpoint is this. You need to be prepared for the fact that you might be spending 10, 12% more on that property versus buying it this year, right? That's how we take this information, digest it, and share it with clients to help it to be relevant to their decision making, right? That's truly helping them. And if they decide to wait, great. Now, when you're revisiting them with them again next year, and they say, well, this is crazy. These houses are more expensive. You can say, yeah, I told you so. Again, remember when we had that conversation, I told you that affordability and all that's going to become, you know, increasingly blah, 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 blah. That's why we really, if you want to buy it, now's a good time to do it. I've been saying this for years, and so far it's been true. Every day that goes by is the best day to buy a home, because they're only getting what? More expensive, and interest rates are only going up. So as you're talking, if you have somebody that desires to be in a home, they should be pounding on our doors right now as realtors to help them get in a property. Sorry, I got a little passionate right there. Other takeaways or ahas? Thoughts, questions?
What's the median list price for all of CMAR?
The median list price for all of CMAR. Median list.
220.
The median list for CMAR is 180.
Yeah.
The median compared to 2016 was about 170. Median sale price 176. 2016 was 165. So here's what you have. Here's what happens when you look at the median numbers. Rochester, which accounts for roughly what percentage of all transactions in CMAR? Oops, I'm sorry. Let's look at the correct numbers here. So CMAR,
1/3.
it's roughly a third, right? And we know that homes are selling for more in Rochester specifically than they are in all of CMAR, right? So Rochester's averages or Rochester's sales are going to pull CMAR's average up a little bit when you look at everything in aggregate. But when you break it down, you will see, pretty substantial drop-offs in a lot of the outlying communities because their homes are just less expensive because that's the market dictates that price. Okay. Hopefully you guys found that useful and helpful. Thanks for indulging me and breaking into teams and having some more fun with it. Don't forget, Nikki's got some chili and some soup out there. Grab some, stick around, chit chat, talk about the market. I'll be around if anybody has any questions. Thanks very much and nice to see all of you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.